Hello everyone. Today I am going to teach you about accelerator theory of investment. The accelerator theory of investment explains how changes in output influence investment decisions. It points that an increase in a firm's output rate necessitates a proportionate increase in its capital stock. So this theory is crucial for understanding investment fluctuations and their impact on economic cycles. The principle of accelerator theory. The accelerator principle states that an increase in rate of output of a firm will require a proportionate increase in its capital stock. The capital stock refers to the desired or optimal capital stock K. Assuming that capital output ratio is some fixed constant V, the optimum capital stock is constant proportion of output so that in any period T, that is T is referred as time period, KT equal to VYT, where KT is the optimal capital stock in the period T, when V is the accelerator and it is a positive constant, and Y is the output in period T, that is time period T. Any change in output will lead to a change in capital stock. So the next is thus kt minus 1 equal to V into yt minus 1 int. So that is net investment. Int means net investment equal to V into yt minus 1, which is int equal to kt minus 1 equal to V delta yt, where delta yt equal to yt minus 1. So int is net investment and this equation represents the naive accelerator. So in this above equation, the level of net investment is proportional to change in output. If the level of output remains constant, delta y equal to 0, net to investment would be 0. For net investment to be positive constant, output must increase. So if there is change in the output, that automatically reflects the change in net investment. If there is increase in output, then the net investment is also increases. Next, moving on to the diagram. In this diagram, y-axis represents output, x-axis represents time, and in this the upper portion of this diagram, the total output is represented by the curve y, which is increases at an increasing rate up to t plus 4 period, then decreasing rate up to t plus 6 period. After this it starts diminishing. After this t plus 6 period, then it starts diminishing. The curve IN in the lower part of the diagram shows that the rising output leads to increased net investment up to t plus 4 period. So up to t plus 4 period, it is the net investment is increasing because output is increasing at an increasing rate. And the next one is assumptions of the accelerator principle. So there are mainly three assumptions: fixed technical coefficients, constant returns to scale, and the third one is factor prices. Under fixed technical coefficients, the proportionality of the optimum capital stock to output is based on the assumption of fixed technical coefficients of production. Then the constant returns to scale implies that if factor price ratios remains constant, then obviously the accelerator also will be constant. Factor prices. If the firm's production involves the use of only two factors, that is labor and capital, whose factor price ratios are constant, if it is constant, the accelerator remains stable. Then moving on to the second diagram. In this diagram where Y-axis represents labor and X-axis represents capital, and Y, this line, Y and Y1 are two isoquants. If the firm produces T output with K optimal capital stock, here K optimal capital stock, and wants to produce Y1 output, it must increase its optimal capital stock to K1, that is from K to K1. Then the OR ray, it shows the constant returns to scale, which indicates that doubling output requires doubling the optimal capital stock. So that is the main thing is it is increased from Y to Y1 and from K to K1. So the doubling the output requires doubling the capital stock. And then moving on to the third diagram. Here the y-axis represents labor and the x-axis represents capital. And parallel isocost lines, that is this thing C, C1, C2. These three lines are which indicates the constant costs. Increasing output from Y to Y1 requires increasing labor from K to here, K to K1. That is capital is increasing. Then the line OR joining the points of tendency here, E1 and E2 is the firm's expansion path, which shows investment is proportional to change in the output. The third one, capital is optimally adjusted between the isocosts, ensuring efficient production throughout the time period. Thank you. Thank you all.